Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Joy Dancers Talks. Today we have Nisha with us. You may know her as Guranisha from TikTok and Instagram, but what you may not know is she's also a mental health advocate, which obviously really stood out to us. So we want to firstly thank you for joining us today, and just taking the opportunity to talk with us. So we do really appreciate that.
Well,
Um,
thank you for having me. I'm really happy when you've messaged, obviously, that you've wanted me on here. So hopefully I don't talk for too long. But yeah, you are right. I am a mental health advocate.
yeah.
I have been since just before COVID.
Oh, brilliant. So obviously that, we're passionate about mental health, which is one of the things we noticed. And we thought, okay, like it'll be really interesting to talk to you about what that involves, if you could like explain that to us.
Yeah, of course. So like my background story is I myself have dealt with my own demons. Like I've gone through depression, anxiety, I've had suicidal thoughts. I've struggled with my body and body dysmorphia. So I've gone through quite a bit of my own little challenges and burdens that I would call on myself for the last, how old am I now? Nearly 30. So I would say for like the last 10 years, which is quite a long time. Like thinking about it, I was 20 years old. Um, but if I really want to go back, I'll go back to being like 14, where I used to self-harm. So that's like half my life has been struggling and dealing with things. So yeah, that has been a struggle in itself, but I'm in like such a positive and good place now where I have a lot of access to like resources and talking to people. But when I was at my old firm back in Newcastle, they had a mental health team and they wanted to train some advocates up. And I actually had a website at the time, which I don't have anymore, but I used to write some blog posts on there, which were quite personal and they were about my struggles and whatnot. And I had shared it around the office, which was like really scary. And I started crying after because my like anxiety kicked in. And I was like, all these like professionals, because I worked for the solicitors, are going to like walk up to me and think, oh, she's like done this, or this is, and you start thinking they're automatically judging you all of a
Yeah.
sudden. And they weren't. Like, that's just me in my mind, like playing tricks with me. But they wanted to train some people up to become a mental health advocate. And I was like, I'm putting my name straight in there. Like, this is something that I'm so passionate about and it really interests me. So I ended up training with my firm, and it was to be trained as an employee mental health advocate, but that doesn't mean you can't use it outside because it's the same skills and the same knowledge. So that's how it came about. And what it entails is you can't call yourself a counselor because you don't have the training to be a counselor. And I think some people get confused between the two and might ask for sessions, whereas I can't give you that. Like, I'm not trained to give you that kind of advice. But essentially, it is to be a sounding board. Everything is to be anonymous and it is all confidential and private, but you are able to signpost and offer advice, but not give your personal views on the matter. But signposting is a massive thing, and listening and understanding what direction they possibly need to go in, whether it's counseling sessions, or sometimes if someone has said to me like they feel suicidal, it's you have to take it upon yourself to now ring the suicidal helplines and for them as well. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
so
yes,
that's essentially what it is.
so sort of backtrack. Sorry, now I'm going to backtrack a bit.
Mhm.
So you said you started self-harming around 14, and then obviously since then you've had like depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's two questions here really. One, what were the triggers, or what led you to self-harm? And then secondly, if in back then, if there was an advocate, how do you think that would have helped you?
Okay, so me self-harming, it was like a sense of release. So the triggers were either things just like, I don't want to get too
Yeah,
personal,
no, that's
No, no,
fine.
yeah, yeah. But obviously, I had like triggers, whether it was not being able to do certain stuff. You're a kid and you don't like being told no or whatnot. And I don't know what it was with me. I just went into this like rut, and I don't know if it was just being a teenager or what it was, but I just ended up releasing through self-harming, whether I used to cut myself when I was younger, and I stopped doing that when I was about maybe 18, maybe 16. And then I did it once at uni and I never ever did it again because I'm not gonna lie, it hurt. And I was like, I'm not going through this pain. Like it's not worth it. So it was like a release. And then I used to make myself sick for years. And I haven't done that in a long time. And again, that was a release. That was a mixture of feeling angry or upset. And it was just, some people want to punch walls, some people want to throw things. That's just how I let off steam, which wasn't good at all. And I would never advise it to anyone because it's so damaging to your body. But essentially that's why I would do it, to like have that release. And sometimes when it came to my body, I would be like, oh, I've ate too much. Oh, as a woman, sometimes you start, but not just women, men can feel the same way as well. But me personally, as a woman, I then got conscious about how I would be looking if I've just ate too much. And I was like, well, I need to get rid of this. And I never ended up going down a route where I became super thin or anything, but it felt like that release of like, okay, it's out of me now. Like I feel better. But I obviously never want to go down that route again.
Yeah, because I just want to add to that, because like you said about dysmorphia as well. And I know lately, Snapchat dysmorphia with all the filters, that's quite like a prevalent problem now. Obviously, I'm guessing different to what it was then, but even that's quite prevalent. So let's take you in the advocate role, because that's what we want to focus on here.
Yeah.
If you say if someone came to you, say if you spoke to a younger version of yourself, what kind of advice would you give as an advocate now?
I'd have to. That's a question. If someone was to come up to me now, if it was my younger self coming up to me now and saying, "These are my issues. Like this is how I feel," me as a person, I would really want to dig deep, and be like, what are your triggers? Like, where's it coming from? Essentially, when you are doing this, what is it that is making you do that? And if it's whether it's relationships or whether it's with your parents, your family, or whoever, once you know what your root cause is, you can then start to work on that. But again, as an advocate, I can only then signpost you to where you need to go, because I can't take that counselor route.
And then like obviously, you were young and stuff, and to go through that at such a young age is difficult, and you probably don't know the best outlet either at the time, because you're experiencing these emotions that you don't know what to do with. But then at the same time, and I know that we obviously speak about this a lot, sometimes it's hard to speak up about it as well, especially in our community, because there is such a stigma. So like if it's hard to say, oh, to I don't know, any family member, oh, I'm going through this or I'm doing this, because then there's that worry that what if they think this, or was that ever, did you think that in the community as well, in our community, that it does feel like that?
I definitely, like, I have to say personally, for me, I never really spoke about what I was going through until I was 20. Literally, when I was 20 years old, I was in India. I was with my mum, and I remember telling my mum, I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. And she was like, Nisha, she was not, what is wrong with you, this and that. Me and her, we cried together. And I think I am really lucky in terms of I've got very supportive parents that have never made me feel like there's something wrong with you. Whereas I have heard comments from other people, like I had a tattoo, I've got a tattoo on my wrist, and it's like suicide prevention, your semicolon. It's basically like in a sentence, in a book, when you use a semicolon, it just means that the sentence isn't finished, same as your life just isn't finished yet. And I remember telling a certain relative that I had it. They were like, well, why have you got that? And I explained why, and they were like, you don't have that. Like, don't be so stupid. And it's little things like that. Like, people don't understand. It's the tiny little comments that then play on your mind, because you could have 100 supportive people in a room, but it only takes one person to then really trigger you to say one little thing to make you feel a certain way. And I think I have to say, I think a lot of people in my family have been supportive, and I'm very open, I'm very honest, and I do that all on social media. Like, I kind of make myself vulnerable to let other people know, like, hey, it's all right if you've got depression, it's all right if you've got anxiety, like, it's okay. But yeah, I am fortunate enough that my parents were supportive and always have been, and I've always been comfortable to tell them whether I'm on medication or if I'm going through therapy or if there's something that I'm doing to essentially make myself better, and they're just very supportive.
Yeah.
And I understand it's not like that for everyone, which is a shame, and it is still a taboo subject within our community.
Yeah, and I think, like you said as well, to have that support network, because that, I think when you're going through things, it's so difficult to kind of see the other side, that you in your head, because I've been through things as well, and
Yeah.
you think I'm going to get judged for thinking this, or why I shouldn't be thinking this, and if I say it, they're going to think less of me. But I think the best thing, and like to talk about it, because like you said, when you spoke about it with your mom, and even when your colleagues read your blogs, that worry you had, but they never judge. So like, I think people going through mental health do put a lot of pressure on themselves, when really if they do just like let it out and speak, or be a little bit vulnerable, it just does them a world of good, and it is like a weight get lifted off your shoulders.
Yeah, 100%. I feel, sorry.
No, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, like the advice I would say, which is maybe easier said than done, 100% it is once you stop caring, you'll be able to just say what you want, feel what you want. It's like ignoring what people are going to think, and it is so much easier to say than actually do, because we've all been through it where, oh, don't worry about it, and it's like, well, how? But it took me a while, definitely took me a while, but now I'm at the point where I don't care. Like, if I feel a certain way, I'm going to tell you how I feel. If I'm going through something, I'm going to let people know that I'm going through something, and I don't care if you're judging me. Like, me, my mental health, I come first. It's simple as that.
You sort of asked the question I was going to ask you. So it was a case of like, most of the Asian community at the minute, it's difficult to sort of, we shouldn't say it's impossible, because it is possible, but it's difficult when, like, so that one person makes a comment because it's uninformed or uneducated opinion, because that's ultimately what it is. If someone's opened up and said they're going through depression, anxiety, the last thing that they then need is, but is that not just a mood? Are you lying? Obviously, we all that Meghan Markle, Piers Morgan debacle as well.
There's nothing wrong with you.
That's the thing, but this is the question I want to ask, because then ultimately, in some scenarios, because like you said, you were lucky in the family you were in, so like on a micro level, not on a whole community level, but on a micro level, that's where the changes will happen. It's whole community wide won't immediately happen. On the micro level, the people that get these comments said to them, so like I said, you're joking, or you're fine, you're crying, have some food, blah blah, whatever. How does that person then build up the resilience? Because you asked the question how, we didn't give an answer. So how would a person then like build up that resilience? Because they will have to, unfortunately, in this moment in time, they'll have to tackle those comments. And the last thing you want them to is set back. So how do you build that resilience and then go forward?
So I think for resilience, I definitely believe having a support network might not be your family, but there will 100% be someone that will support you, that will always be there for you every single day, telling you to just carry on, like you've got this. You can tell them. You know, like for me, I had supportive friends, so there might have been certain people in my family that didn't understand, but I knew, even in different scenarios. But knowing I had a group of friends, and also online there's information, there was so much that I used to try and read, and looking at other people's stories kind of gives you your own confidence to be like, actually, I'm gonna go with it. So I've now kind of shaped myself to be that person that I want someone else to look at, to be like, if she can say it and she can say things open and honestly, I'm going to do it without caring. And I believe once you've got that, you'll be able to be a little bit more resilient, because it's hard otherwise. If you know, you've got to get that strength from somewhere, and it could come from a couple of your friends, it could come from a stranger online posting a video or something you've read. It does take time, and even like therapy or counseling sessions.
So now that you've said that, it leads on to the next question nicely. So your journey started from 14 to today, and and like you said, you've come a long way and you feel positive. Then obviously then you had a social media channel with TikTok. Social media is positive, it's wonderful, gives you nice comments. And there's always people that will sort of have an opinion. So obviously we found you through TikTok, and I
Yeah.
want to just share your journey of that first negative comment that threw you or made you wobble a little bit. What was that journey like?
So I actually had an account before my current account, and it ended up getting banned because I had a lot of. I did one video on there, which was it was like a chavvy video. Me and my Bobby did it together. We would doing a voiceover of this other thing, and all one of the comments were like curry muncher. It was actually racist, so it went down a racist route, and I'm like on the social media, like on my Guralicious TikTok now, I've had touch wood, nothing racist at all. Whereas on that one, I had go back home, you're a curry muncher, go back to India. And it was really weird because I was like, where the heck is this coming from?
Mm.
And that was the first thing that I had. And I ended up getting banned because so many people started just started reporting it. And it was just weird. People were reporting their comments, but it was reporting my
Right.
page, if that makes sense. So they were accidentally doing it, but I ended up getting banned. And then I kind of got over it, did a new one, and I started doing all my hauls, and they were like really good. And you know, some people were laughing, and then things obviously don't fit me because not everything fits me. And from then I would get things like your legs are too chunky, lose weight, your husband's gonna leave you, I saw your husband kissing another girl in the car. And I remember commenting on it saying, I remember doing a video, be like in a scout, I'm not gonna do it right now. I was doing it in a Scouse accent and everything. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe he's leaving me. And then people will come back in like, you shouldn't be airing your personal business. And I was like, he hasn't done anything. Like Bachara's just sat there and someone's like wanting to make claims about him. But people will truly do what they can to try and either ruin yourself or ruin your relationship, and
Yeah.
you need to be skinned on there. So I've had people tell me I need to get a nose job. I look dehydrated, and I was like, well, what the hell do you want me to do? It's like I'm drinking as much pani as I can.
What does that even mean? Look dehydrated? Like I don't.
I just remember recording a video. I responded to it, and I was just like, oh, okay. And I got the bottle, and I just literally like squeezed it, so all the pani went over my face, and I was like, I hope that's better. Like I don't know what you want me to do. You've put weight on, you're unclassy, you're chavvy, your kapre you wears like this. Like, you've got to be thick skinned. And trust me, if you're not, it will be damaging. 100% it will be. Yeah, I feel like you need to have some thick skin on you to get through social media.
Yeah. And
even me, I'm not the thickest skin person because I might get off it and I might cry.
yeah. And that's what I was going to ask. Were there times that it did really impact your mental health? And if so, like, what did you do or how did you get over it?
Yeah. So I remember I did a video of all the like a few negative comments I'd had, and I kind of spoke about it.
Yeah.
And then I came back off it, and I remember speaking to Satnam, and I was like, have I really put weight on? Do I really look like this? I was like, is my nose, you know what? Like I've struggled with insecurities and really self-doubting myself like massively. So it kind of like took me back to a place where I felt terrible. Like I felt so rubbish about myself. And I was like, well, should I eat? Should I like watch? You know, when you just start thinking of every single thing, like if I eat this, am I going to put the weight on? And he's like trying to assure me so much, like you look fine, like you look great. And yes, I have put weight on. Like I know my body, I know my clothes. I have, but it's the fact that people online want to tell you, and then I get into this mentality where I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
This is someone online that doesn't even have a flipping profile picture. It's user 7521. And they're sat there on their phone like they're saying, you look fat. Like, you got a life. And then I'm like, that is where this message is coming from, where should I really be taking people's opinions that don't even know me personally?
Yeah.
So yeah, it has affected me. Not life. I said that it doesn't, because I try really hard to obviously just promote positivity, but I'm human.
So my next question then is this. So you've talked about, obviously everyone experiences negativity on social media. Obviously, because your profile's quite prominent and it's continuing to increase. So well done on that. But in terms of your attitude, so like you said, obviously, like sometimes you said you felt like crying, etc., which is obviously is a natural response to someone criticizing something which you're already insecure about anyway. But then how do you switch that then? So how do you keep, if you want to spread positivity, how do you keep a positive attitude in the face of all that. I know you use a 7, whatever, but like, how do you continue to keep a positive attitude?
Essentially because I think they're just user someone, like they are a random person. And then what I ended up doing is earlier this year, I've started nurturing my body and loving it in terms of, yes, I've got cellulite, yes, I've got a little bit of dimpling going on, put a bit of weight on, my knees got a smiley face, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I have human body, I'm a woman, like, and I used to look at them pictures from when I was 18 and think, oh my God, I look so good then. I'm nearly 30, I don't look like that anymore. And I tried to remember that, and that's how I tried to spread it, is as women, we are getting older, our bodies can change, it's so natural, our hormones and everything else. So I ended up posting a lot about body positivity online, and that for me was like a bit of a coping mechanism as well, because it's like I am putting myself out here. I put pictures of my cellulite on holiday, I put pictures of me that I would never upload before because I used to care so much. And that is how I try to keep positive, by letting other women know that it's all right to have all of these things. If you want to comment on my chunky legs, that is fine, they ain't going nowhere. Like, not everyone is going to be a model figure and completely slim, because we are completely different. And my figure is lovely, I should love it, why shouldn't I? Why should I look at someone else and think she's way better than me? Because we'd all look so boring if we all look the same. So that's how I try to like push that positivity out, is to just project that it's all right to look how we look.
Yeah, and then on that note, I just want to say thank you, because obviously sharing your own journey isn't easy. And then obviously then manifesting that into such a positive outlet of spreading positivity, body image, especially things that you're, like you said, you're insecure, and so sharing that in a positive way, like that's really good. So hopefully people are watching this, and they take something positive from it.
100%, because just hearing someone, and it can be as simple as that, hearing someone say, look, like we go through changes, this happens, life happens, it's part of it. And you know what, embrace the now, I guess, you know, and it sometimes just people might just need to hear that. So I think having that positive attitude, even if it's just a little positive quote for the day, it can make a big difference.
So, no, definitely. I think the other positive from that is the response I get from it. Yeah. So it's actually like everyone else. It's not me. It's the women that are messaging me saying that I've helped them, or thank you for being so honest. Like, that is the stuff that wants me to keep doing it, and to block out haters and to block out negative comments, because essentially I am helping people, whether they even just say thank you, thanks for speaking. That for me is a win. Yeah. Because I'm getting good response back from that. And I've had some people maybe still continue saying rubbish things, but now I'm not going to look at the 2 people in the room that say something negative, and I'm just going to focus on the 100 people that say something positive, because life's too short to be worrying about how I look right now and how I looked back then. And if anything, I should just be, every single day, I just want to become a better version of the person I am right now.
I think, and that's a great way to end it. I think, you know, that's the only thing you can do. If you know, when you're going through things, try and focus on the positive and try and be the better version of yourself that you can.
Yes, so please make sure you like, subscribe, etc. We all know the deal. But make sure you follow Guranisha on TikTok. Okay, she's also
Instagram. All the details below.
And for 2 reasons: one, if you want to see some positive stuff on social media, but secondly, to see her witty responses. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. See you later.
And thank you for having me as well.
Wow.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks.